Dear students, welcome to all of you in this video lesson which is made for students of B.Ed second year of Maulana Azad National Urdu University, Hyderabad. Today we will have a discussion on need and importance of grammar, objectives of teaching grammar, types of grammar and methods of teaching grammar. Dear students, in this video lesson, we will try to find out the answers of these questions. What is the need and importance of teaching grammar? What are the objectives of teaching grammar? What are the types of grammar? And what are the methods of teaching grammar? Students, flexibility is an important aspect of English language. It has accepted many words as it is from many languages of the world. Hence, this language is one of the richest languages of the world. English is spoken in different accents such as American accent, British accent, Australian accent, etc. It's written in different scripts as print script or cursive script. It can be written in different slangs as backward slant, forward slant and erect slant. But the basic structure and system of the language means grammar is same throughout the world. Advocating the importance of grammar, L.A. Gordon, a linguist, says, language is the vehicle of our thoughts and feelings and of our stories, whether true or not. And grammar is the machinery by which that vehicle is set in motion. Grammar is behind the logic of a language. It provides an insight into the structure of the language. It is the systematic knowledge of a language. Its importance in writing is undubitable. It provides the criteria for judging the correctness of language. It helps to develop various mental abilities such as reasoning, observation and concentration. So, it's very necessary to acquire mastery over grammar for us whose mother tongue is not English. Grammar is the study of words and the ways words work together. An invisible force guides us as we put words together into sentences. Any person who communicates using a particular language is consciously or unconsciously aware of the grammar of that language. We study grammar to speak in a clear and more effective manner. A person who has unconscious knowledge of grammar may be sufficient for simple language use. But the ones who wish to communicate well and in an artful manner will see greater depth of understanding and proficiency that the study of grammar provides. The grammar helps to frame the sentences with proper knowledge so that other people can understand what you exactly want to express when they read the message or letter you send to them. Business communication that utilizes proper grammar helps to set a professional appearance between a company and its customers. Small details such as spelling, use of words and writing style are an important part of marketing, and poor grammar may quickly send customers to a competing company. Proper grammar conveys a sense of authority from the writer to the reader. Law firms, public accountants and consulting services are great examples of strong written communication that creates authoritative messages. So, grammar is very important in language learning. The objectives of teaching grammar are to enable the learner to speak and write correct English, to help the learner to identify mistakes in spoken and written English, to enable the learners to identify and recall parts of speech, to acquaint the learners with basic structures of English language, to enable the learners to use proper words at proper places while speaking and writing English. So, these are the objectives of teaching English grammar. Teachers should remember these objectives while teaching English grammar. Grammar occupies an essential position in teaching and learning of a language. It has practical value for learners. The time spent on grammar is justified only if it helps in formation of correct speech habits and correct sentence formation in written communication. Every language has its own grammar. It is classified generally into two types: formal grammar and functional grammar. Let's try to understand the difference between these two types with the help of some points. Formal grammar is known as traditional, theoretical or prescriptive grammar, whereas functional grammar is known as descriptive or incidental grammar. Prescriptive means pertaining to giving directives or rules. Hence, formal grammar is concerned with norms or rules of correct usage, whereas descriptive means serving to describe. Hence, functional grammar describes language in actual use. Formal grammar is not based on its day-to-day functional ability, whereas functional grammar is based on its day-to-day functional ability. As the focus of formal grammar is on rules of language, it does not have functional ability, whereas the functional grammar focuses on use of language. That is why it has functional ability. Formal grammar is taught with the help of a grammar book, whereas functional grammar is not taught as a separate subject but along with graded readers. Some few years back, formal English grammar was taught in Indian classrooms. Hence, there used to be a separate book for teaching grammar or separate section for teaching grammar in school textbook of English, where teacher used to teach English grammar separately and English prose and poetry separately. But now our focus is changed and we are shifted from formal grammar to functional grammar. Today, grammar is taught along with prose and poetry without any separation. Teaching of grammar is interwoven with the teaching of English prose or poetry. Formal grammar lays emphasis on drilling of its rules and definitions, whereas functional grammar lays emphasis on drilling of use of grammar. As formal grammar focuses on rules, teachers used to ask the students to mug up the definitions, rules and examples of grammatical items by heart. So, a lot of drill of rules and definitions were given. The questions on grammar were also focused on rules and definitions. For example, write down the definition of noun and explain the types of nouns with suitable examples. So, students used to drill the rules and definitions from examination point of view. But functional grammar focuses on use of grammar. Today, a lot of practice and drill is given on the use of grammatical items in day-to-day life. For this purpose, lots of worksheets and exercises are developed which focuses on use of grammar in writing and speech. Nowadays, in examinations, the questions do not come on rules or definitions, but it focuses on to check how student is using grammar in writing, speech and composition. So, nowadays our textbooks as well as examination system have adopted functional grammar. In formal grammar, rules of grammar are consciously drilled by the learners, whereas in functional grammar, rules of grammar are acquired unconsciously by the learners. In formal grammar, rules are consciously drilled, whereas in functional grammar, usage of grammatical item in day-to-day affairs is practiced unconsciously in oral and written form with the help of worksheets and exercises. Formal grammar is taught deductively, whereas functional grammar is taught inductively. Deductive methods of teaching grammar is used to teach formal grammar, where rules and definitions are introduced first and then examples were given. But inductive method of teaching grammar is used to teach functional grammar, where students elicit the rules and definitions by observing and analyzing various examples. In formal grammar, the learner is required to learn everything, but in functional grammar, it is linked up with speech, reading and writing. So, in functional grammar, there is no need to require to learn everything. In formal grammar, learners required to learn all prescribed grammatical items with rules and definitions, maybe from examination point of view. But in functional grammar, there is no need to rectify rules and definitions, because instead of rules and definitions, usage is asked in the examination. Now, the question arises in our mind that which type of grammar should be applied while teaching English language. The answer is obvious, that functional grammar should be applied, because the ultimate aim of teaching and learning of grammar is to acquire correct speaking and writing skills. It is only possible through practicing the use of grammar rather than the rules of grammar, and linking it with language skills like listening, speaking, reading and writing. Students, broadly there are 4 methods of teaching grammar: deductive method, inductive method, informal method and incidental method. Let us try to understand these methods of teaching grammar. Deductive method is the traditional method of teaching grammar. Formal grammar is taught by this method. In this method, teacher explains the rules of grammar and then examples are given to fix that particular rule. Let's see the steps of this method. The first step is of introduction. In this step, the teacher introduces grammatical items to the students. For example, students, today we are going to study articles. Students, today we are going to study parts of speech, etc. The second step of deductive method is stating the rule. In this step, teacher explains all the rules of that grammatical item. The third step is providing examples. After explaining the rules, teacher provides different examples in support of the rules prescribed earlier and asks the students to write down rules and regulations in their examples. The fourth step of deductive method is application. In this step, teacher gives sentences for practice, considering students have understood all the rules. Students' answers are checked and corrections are done in the classroom. The last step of deductive method is assignment. In this step, teacher gives exercise for practice. By this method, students understand the rules and they are made able to apply the rules and frame sentences. But the demerit of this method is lack of live atmosphere and the monotonous and uninteresting learning process where teacher's role is more important than students. Further, lack of practice in usage of English grammar cannot produce good English speakers and writers. The next method of teaching English grammar is deductive method. This is the modern as well as natural method of teaching grammar. First, examples are presented before the students, and with the help of students' observations and generalizations, rules are introduced. Let's see the steps of this method. The first step is of introduction. Teacher introduces grammatical item to the students in this step. Second step is providing example. Teacher presents some examples before the students and asks the students to observe and try to generalize the common things in the given example. The third step is of observation. In this step, students observe the examples and try to generalize the common things prescribed in the examples. The fourth step is of generalization. With the help of students' response and generalizations about the examples, teacher introduces rules of the grammar. The fifth step is practice. In this step, teacher provides more examples for oral and written practice. And the last step is of assignment, where teacher gives variety of exercises as assignment. This method creates live atmosphere in the class and increases students' participation in learning. Further, it makes students think, learn and practice the usage of English grammar in communication. But it needs serious efforts by the teacher for the production of audiovisual aids and creation of live environment in the classroom. This method emphasizes on the usage of the grammar rather than rules of grammar. Teacher uses this method informally while correcting students' homework or classwork. He briefly explains the usage of grammar to the students individually or collectively and correct their mistakes. This method is useful in early stages of language learning. This method is also known as a reference or correlation method. This method is used incidentally while teaching the textbook, composition or translation. Teacher explains grammatical rules and their implications by correlating it to the textbook, composition or translation. Students, let's do some exercises on English grammar. Open Google in your smartphone, laptop or personal computer. Write the titles of the books in Google. Download and read the books on grammar games and activities. Titles of the book with their writers and publishers are given on your screen. Write down the titles of this book. Games for Grammar and Practice, written by Maria Lucia Zorab and Elizabeth Chin. Fun with Grammar, written by Suzanne W. Woodward. Elementary Grammar Games, written by Jill Hadfield. And Grammar Alive, a guide for teachers, written by Brooke Hausaman with Amy Benjamin, Martha Collin, Rebecca S. Wheeler. Try to download and read as many free books, materials, worksheets, PowerPoint presentations as you can from Google on English grammar. Dear students, in this video lesson, we discuss the objectives of teaching grammar, types of grammar, methods of teaching grammar, and games and activities of grammar. You can read more about this topic from the books and other resources you are watching on your screen. For more details, you can contact That's all in this video lesson. Let's meet you next time with a new topic. Thank you very much.